What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about some grayscale trusts today. We're going to be going over LTCN, BCHG, FILG, and GXLM today. LTCN and BCHG for Congo, Convo, FILG for Mr. D. Larcher, and GXLM for Honcho. That's the order we're doing it. Let's get started. I'm going to move through these fast, guys. I've got a bed to sleep in. Yes, LTCN, I think it went up a little bit yesterday, didn't it? Oh, no, it went down. It was up when I last looked at it, but it went down. Yeah, people have been asking because Bitcoin's bullish and the underlying assets are moving up. Has my position changed with these? And while it's not ideal to see the underlying assets go up, I've been saying this for really since we started getting up to these levels. I've been saying this, that as odd as it is, because we want to believe that these are 100% correlated, but they're not, the underlying asset can go up and these can go down. It can happen. It's literally happening right before our eyes. Okay, so does this mean that the targets that I have changed? I will say that the fact that BCH is looking good, the fact that LTC is looking good, yes, it's kind of changing my opinion on the targets, guys. While I don't think it's impossible, obviously, for these things to move lower while the underlying assets are moving higher, I don't think it's sustainable to have that kind of difference. So either BCH and LTC turn around now, or because I was expecting BCH to break out to new highs, but I just didn't think it would happen this fast, man. But here it is. It's happening right now. And I did think LTC would go higher, but first after going lower. And here we are at 82. So really what I'm thinking, that to me, lower prices for LTC are out the window now. Those $45, $50 price targets are out the window now. So with LTCN, I would think that the same could be said for its low targets, right? The target, which for me would have been below $8, $6.15. If we look at this low to high here, which very convincing, at least a couple weeks ago is very convincing that we'd see $6.72 to $6. It might be out the window. If you've been waiting for those low prices, you have no skin in the game, it might be a good time to just get in. Not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but it might be a good time to get in. With that being said, we could move lower. Those targets do exist still. I just think they're less likely, but they do exist. The fact that we rejected the 236 is saying something, in my opinion. We could, all we'd have to do really is get to this 618 area. If we get to that, man, if we get to 1085 or lower, really lower, I would think that these price targets down here below $7 become a likelihood at that point. But right now, I'm scratching my head a bit, because it's the underlying assets do look like they want to move up more, in my opinion. So I don't have a hard time believing that the grayscale trust can move down while the assets move up, but not for a long time, not sustainably, not if those assets go up tremendously. So it would be a bit weird if that happened. But that's LTCN. Really, I guess I didn't do too much TA on it, really, though. Let's see. Bottom to top. Let's see how you react with this 382. You might go below $13. You might go to $12.90 real quick and then move up from there. Let's see how you react with it, because if you can close below it, all right, we'll talk about the 61869. If you close below that, we could talk about lower prices, but let's see what you do tomorrow, man. I'm not optimistic for lower prices right now, guys. I'm really not. I'm just being real with you. BCHG. But that can change. It can change quickly. Look, BCH also moved down. BCH moved up, and this thing moved down 7%. So who knows what could happen. It does look somewhat bearish in my opinion. It would really make sense for it to go lower, in my genuine opinion. But what makes sense does not need to happen. It's not a necessity. Another thing that would make sense is at least to see some kind of common retracement, man, which you haven't really done. Relatively speaking, sure you have, I guess, but no 236, no 382. The 382 is at your 123. Relatively speaking, sure, from this low, okay, you did. You tipped your 382. Having a hard time staying above your 236. I would think you want to go down here, but I can be wrong, man. Again, I have a hard time seeing this thing go down too much more if BCH is moving up. We'll see how tomorrow goes, but I think we might see these things take off tomorrow. They might really, if you don't get in at the open or the beginning of the day, it might be the last chance to get in before these things see new highs. It really might be. And I'm not trying to spread FOMO or anything like that, right? I'm just being very real, guys. These things, like if we look at BCH right now, it's up there. I mean, I just showed it, right? It's up there. It's at 318. It looks really good. Now, what I will say about BCH is it is pretty volatile, this thing, right? Closing up here could just as likely mean that we're going to see prices back down below 260 next week, and then we move back up. And if we saw something like that, if BCHG just holds off a little bit on moving up right now, and then BCH drops, well, then that could be a catalyst to send this thing down to the prices I've been looking for. So it's really hard to say. The best way that I would explain how to handle this kind of situation would be, if you have skin in the game, okay, just be patient. If you're looking to put more money in this thing, be patient. I would wait for a breakout upwards to throw the rest of it in, or look elsewhere to put your money in. Or, I'd just be patient and wait for that low to come. And if it doesn't come, just say, oh well. If you have no skin in the game, you're in a very tough spot right now, because you're in a position where you might have to get in, man, at these prices, with the potential of going down here. But for the sake of getting in and not missing out the potential upside, that could be absolutely glorious, So it's really hard to say. And I wish I could go into more detail and of my opinions on that, but man, I really don't have time. But things are looking good, guys. Things are looking good. The reason I don't have time is I made a whole hour and a half of videos, guys. They were muted. Mike says it's working. I'm going to check right now to make sure, yeah, the sound's working right now. But I wasted a whole hour and a half of my time, man. The mic said it was good, but I blame my daughter, man. She yanked these cords, and I think she messed with the connection of them, unfortunately, and that's okay. But enough about my personal life. Top to bottom, you're at your 1618. Okay, nice. You probably find some turbulence here. Could you go up a little higher first? Sure. Could you go down from there? Sure. Well, whatever. I can't really do TA on something like this, man. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. You're overbought. You're kind of hot. You're at your 1618. If you go higher, I doubt you go too much higher, but you're at 174. You can move up to 200. You can move up to 240 and then move lower. But I do think you'll see prices that are potentially below 100 again before continuing to move higher. If not, at least around 120, 110, something like that. That's FILG. Let's finish this bad boy up with GXLM. What's XLM? XLM's doing good too, isn't it? Man, all these grayscale trusts, except for, I guess, FILG looked good. It moved up a little bit. Not really, though. I don't know, man. With this look, I would assume you go to your 382 and probably below it. I would think that $12.30 to 10.43 is on the table with the way that this looks. But man, if XLM starts to do well, that could again diminish those possibilities. So let's just see. Let's just see. But it's hard to say. This one's probably the hardest one to read out of all of them, because first off, very, very neutral RSI, very neutral price action, just moving sideways. I mean, the most accurate thing to guess, I think, would be to say it just continues to move sideways. Everything about this is neutral, so it's really hard to say. I mean, there's just as many arguments for it to go up as there is for it to go down. I'm thinking to the downside, though, personally. Rejection off the 50, I would think it wants to go lower. So we'll see you at $16 or potentially down to around $11 or $10 is my thoughts for GXLM. And that's all I got for you guys. So if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. You guys, I know I've been bearish on LTCN and BCHG for a little bit now. And it was rightfully so here, and not so rightfully so over the past month now. But sometimes that's how it happens, man. That's how it happens. And I'm not trying to be coy or be, I don't know what word for it, man. I really don't have time to talk about it right now, but I'm talking about it anyways because I feel like I should. But I feel like I've made a bad call in assuming that we could go down there. And I think a bad call, maybe it's not a bad call. I think it makes sense. It's a sensible call, but it's proven to be wrong is what I'm getting at. And there's a point in time where you have to admit when you're wrong. That way you don't miss out the rest of the trend, right? And the thing is while I am saying this, I do very much believe still that the prices that I've been talking about they're still on the table. They're just not as likely as they were before, right? Let's see what LTC does. Let's see what BCH does over the coming days, coming week or so. Just right now, man, they look really good. I got all these damn lines on here. Let's delete this. I mean, that looks really good for LTC, you guys. I have a hard time believing LTCN is going to go down if this just keeps pumping up, right? Sees the most bullish week it's seen in a while. I have a hard time believing that. But it can. LTCN can move down while LTC moves up. It's just not a sustainable type of pattern. BCH right now is almost looking like it wants to see this move up to the $500 or higher area. We're at 315 right now. I have a hard time believing BCHG is going to drop below $2 if BCH does that, right? So, you know, the underlying assets kind of dominate more than the TA does for BCHG and LTCN. So, you know, not that TA doesn't work for them, but it could make sense as to why the expectations that surround those based on TA might not comply with the reality, which is that this looks good, the underlying asset looks good for both of them. I'm kind of under the assumption that could overthrow things. And for a time, yes, there was a time where I was saying these could move up and the other, the Grayscale Trust could move down. And I believe that can happen. We saw it today. But if it's breaking out, I don't think it's going to move down. You know, and I've been calling for the BCH breakout to be imminent. You know, I said that in one of my last videos about BCH, but I didn't think it was like this imminent, man. And that there's still that possibility with BCH where it could right now turn around. This thing is very volatile. Every bullish week is met by a bearish week, right? And if BCHG holds on, it doesn't pump, it doesn't break out to higher prices from here, and then it gives time for BCH to psych, just kidding, I'm going down, that could be a catalyst for BCHG. Same thing with LTCN. If LTC does that, could be a catalyst for these things to go back down and make those price targets I've had all along more likely. It is possible. It's just not looking like it right now. And that's where you got to be pivotal. I might be back on tomorrow saying, all right, guys, we are going to those levels. It looks good. If you were patient, good job. I might be on tomorrow and say, you guys, if you're patient, this is one of those times that I got away from you. And, you know, I'm not going to apologize because whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, when I'm right, I'm not like, that's right, who's your daddy? Whenever I'm wrong, I'm not going to be like, sorry, guys. I feel bad for anybody who's not invested. Right? I feel like it sucks if you're not invested, if you don't have your money in this stuff, but you know, it's also on you. You're in the beginning of the bull market. You should have some funds in cryptos by now. We're really close to the halving. If you don't have any funds in cryptos or the grayscale funds, but you're trying to be involved with the crypto bull market, you're very late to the party. Right? So hopefully everybody has some bags. If you're looking for lower prices and you didn't get to add to those bags, you know, it's a little bit of a boo-hoo, but it's okay because you're still going to make money. You can look elsewhere. There are other things to put money into as well in the crypto sphere besides that. I mean, look at mining stocks, man. CleanSpark dumped like 18% today. You know, if you don't want to mess with Grayscale Trust, you want to move to mining stocks, there's potential there as well. If you want to mess with the actual underlying assets, there's potential there as well. But I don't know, man. I feel like I've got nothing else to say. I already went on longer than I wanted to. It might not have been the most professional or well-spoken that I wanted it to be, but man, I'm tired. I'm trying to go to bed, y'all. I really am. I wasted an hour and a half of my life making videos that had no sound on them already. Okay, I'm not in the best of moods, but and also I'm wrong, or I might be wrong with this BCHG and LTCN call. So I'm just trying to be as blunt as I can and not like beat around the bush, right? It is very possible, you guys. It is very possible we could see these things do some bullish things again. It really is. So if you have no exposure, you're in a very bad position right now, because it's also very possible that the price targets I've been calling for are still on the table. It's still very possible. It's just hard. It's harder for me to think that this is going to happen when I think the underlying asset is about to do this, right? It's really hard for me to think that. And with BCH, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but like that the underlying asset's going to move up. But with LTC, it kind of does look like it wants to go higher. So I don't know, man. I'm just repeating myself at this point. I hope everybody's faring well. Hope I didn't offend anybody or I wasn't too crass. You know, I'm trying to be blunt and honest here. That's all, man. And you win some, you lose some, you're right, you're wrong. It's not what it's about. It's about risk management, and it's very not good risk management if you're planning on investing in an asset class and you have zero exposure this early in the bull market, right? Because even at these prices, even if you're waiting for prices that are 50% down, 30% down, whatever, I mean, I very much believe we're going to see prices for this above hundreds of dollars, potentially even thousands of dollars, right, by the end of this cycle. And we're at 375 now. So is it still too late to get into the party? No. Do you have the potential of not getting in at the prices you wanted to? Maybe. Yes, maybe. But you never know, right? Again, if you're patient, who knows? It might happen. But as of right now, I'm not too convinced one way or another. And I know the past weeks have been wish-washy, but look at the past weeks we've got, man. They're very wish-washy weeks. So, yes, this week looks a little bit bearish on this scale, but with the underlying assets, you guys, I'm a bit timid to say that I'm confident in these lower prices. That's why I'm being so, I'm trying to be clear. I hope I'm being clear. If not, man, I apologize for not being clear, but none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If it goes down, if you're patient, good job. If it goes up and you're too patient, oh well, look for something else to buy. Or if you're okay with buying this, if it does, let's say tomorrow you wake up in BCHG or LTCN, they're at new highs relative to this cycle. If you buy up there, you have to be okay with it going down dramatically. You can't panic sell. If you're going to panic buy, you can't panic sell, okay? Because that's when you really get screwed. Because if you're just patient, no matter how low it goes, for the rest of the cycle, it's going to go higher, right? So just be patient. Be patient if you buy, right? And if you're looking to buy and you're patient and it doesn't pay out, it never hurts to look at something else either that hasn't taken off yet. And there's plenty of other things that either haven't taken off in the crypto space or things that did take off but they're pulling back now. There are other things out there. Opportunity presents itself to those who are looking for it. So anyways, with that, I'll leave you. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all for coming. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.